How challenging it is to sort of end the show in a lot of ways in season one the way you did, and have to sort of not reset it, but rejigger it and come up with almost like a new show in a lot of ways. Is that tough?
Challenging. Yeah. Very challenging, I would say. Well, we didn't expect it. We thought we were just, 10 and done. We had our beginning, middle, and end. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was never designed that way.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a 10-episode, event series, and the audience obviously really responded to it. We found the world to be very rich as well, so it's exciting for us to try and come up with ideas. Essentially, season 2 is a continuation of season 1. The story kind of takes off, but we have the ability to introduce new characters, based on the world, obviously, of Wayward Pines, bringing new people in. So
now, if it continues, do you see that each season you can sort of rejigger it in a major way so it doesn't feel like lost or something where you're just constantly...
Oh, we were very specific that we had to know where we were going or we didn't want to continue it. So a lot of thought and care was given into where the story would go in this next chapter, and there's actually an end point. So it's this season and then one more beyond. We know where the story is culminating. So that's great to have that kind of strength of knowing what our story is and how we take the steps to get there, and we're very excited about kind of where this version ends up.
So, sorry. Can you talk about which characters are coming back from the first season?
Carla Gugino is going to be back. Melissa Leo is going to be back. Toby Jones is going to be back. Ben, who played Ethan Dillon's son, is going to be back. Chance Osman, who plays his wife and Ben's mother. Who else is back? Arlene.
Arlene is back, yeah.
Siobhan Fallon, our wonderful Arlene, who was the assistant in the sheriff's office.
And Terrence Howard is
Yes, you're right. Yes.
So are these present day? Are they like, or in the timeline of their return, are they flashbacks? Or?
Some might be and some might not be.
Well said.
Yeah, very clever.
Smart girls.
Yeah, exactly.
So with this more definitive, like 3 seasons, hypothetical 3-season story, are we sort of redefining what a limited series means in the States? Like, in the UK, it's not normal for there to be 3 seasons and we're done. Is that kind of what you guys are?
I think so. I mean, as I said, genuinely, we're coming in, it was kind of like at the beginning of the limited series thing for a network, and we were excited. Fox hadn't really done it before, and so we were kind of breaking that part of their business in, and we really expected to be 10 and done, and we were pleasantly surprised by the success. And it was, Blake, his mind is so fertile. He had already written 3 books, and so for him, he just started, and along with Knight and all the rest of the talent, started spinning ideas, and it became exciting.
Can you tell us about the new characters and where we are at the beginning of season 2?
You want to take that?
Yeah, sure. So as I said, season 2 kind of starts off as a continuation from season 1. The first generation essentially has taken over the town, and they quickly kind of put the adults to sleep. And Ben kind of wakes up 4 years later, and he finds that he's in this town run by the first generation. And so essentially we kind of start with a civil war between the 2 factions, the 2 sides of the group. And the new character, Jason Patrick, plays Theo Yedlin, who's actually a doctor, and he's woken up for a very specific reason in the town. And so he comes along, and then Jaimin Hunsu's character as well is someone who's introduced that we find out has a kind of a long history with this town and a connection to culture, which is very interesting.
So what can you tell us? Any secrets or anything regarding who to look for or what certain aspects? Because the show has many twists. So.
Yes, there's going to be more coming. Some really strange ones. some that might be a tiny bit controversial even, who knows. I think you might learn things about Abby that you didn't know before.
That's one of the things that we were excited about. Season 1, we were a little hamstrung. We couldn't sell child-eye concept that this was the last town on Earth. There was, versions of ourselves outside the fence, whereas now we're not as handcuffed. And so we really kind of want to lean into some of those storylines.
How much of the books an influence on this? Because I mean, a lot of shows start based on the book strong, but then they start veering off as the show continues.
I think you'll see from this point forward, you'll see a lot of plot lines that aren't in the 3 books, but the mythology and the world that was created, the rules of that world, the science of that world, the science fiction of that world is all guiding the same guiding principle. So it still stays very true to what Blake created, and he's been involved in it. So you have that kind of nice continuity.
And there's some storylines that were just touched upon in the books that we also just touched upon in season 1 that I think we'll explore as well some more, and you can kind of really see more of that world. So,
can you talk a little bit about Knight's involvement on the series, in the series as a whole? I mean, obviously he directed the pilot, and he's back for season 2 and here in the room with us. But can you talk a little bit about what he's contributed to the world of Wayward Pines?
We'll take that one.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would look. Ashwin works with Knight every day of the week. He's based in Philadelphia with Knight, and I'm out here in Los Angeles. But he's very much the creative godfather of the show, and kind of an overarching kind of vision that keeps us like always headed to true north, and has really had so much to do with setting the tone, the look, the style, the voices of those characters out of the gate, and he really, really helps us. It's actually good for him to be in Philadelphia because he kind of looks at us from 30,000 feet, and he's always saying, guys, you're off course here, and then Ashwin and I talk many times a day and, make sure the whole train stays on the track. So he's really very much that guidelight.
He's very excited about kind of the overarching architecture, and with Blake, they talk a lot as well, and helps guide us, as Donald said, and, from a structural standpoint. So,
and really just if he's watching dailies and sees something with a performance or something with the style in which something is being shot that he either thinks is wonderful or maybe not quite what is in the canon of Wayward Pines, he's always there and always giving notes, and he's a very important part of it.
The initial, when the first show first came out, it was initially genre as mystery and thriller.
Yes.
And now it's transformed into a science fiction. Well, is that reign true? Does it still remain like a science fiction thriller, or would it change eventually also because of what you guys have planned?
I think it stays science fiction thriller very much, and we don't want to just tip into genre, if you will. A psychological thriller and those mysteries on a character level are very, very important to us, and I think you're going to see some really interesting ones play out this season.
Yeah, I mean, it's very compelling to have real-life conversations, but knowing that you're the last town on Earth, and this is it for humanity. So what is your conversation with your wife or your brother or your sister? Things, our morals in 2015 or 2016 don't necessarily hold the same values, in this last town on Earth in the future. So that's an interesting aspect.
And then they all have their mundane, everyday problems with relationships and all the things that we all deal with on a daily basis, that of course is part of being a human being. So they bring that for them.
This is not a show that would ever venture much far beyond the borders of the town, is it? Or there's a whole world out there, and Lord knows what that world looks like.
That's a very interesting question that you asked.
And the lack of answer.
So you're confirming.
Without confirming.
Maybe things will start to bleed out of the edges a little bit.
Yeah.